We shall be talking about crisis management in organizations. And joining me right now in set, we have the Chief Executive Officer for Lens Media, and that is Ahmed Mohammed. Many thanks for making time for us, Ahmed.
Thank you, Abby, for giving us this opportunity this afternoon.
All right.
In fact, currently the country is crippling with a lot of crises here and there. You see Kenya Power Lighting, you see Uchumi. So the crisis in terms of branding and the PR sector is affected in many ways.
All right. Of course, you've laid the foundation there, Ahmed. And let's talk about the trends we are seeing right now. Organizations have been trying to have a presence in social media by having websites. At the same time, various issues have been cropping up in companies, be it issues related to corruption, like what we saw in NYS. We also saw issues arising from Kenya Power, Kenya Pipeline Company. And from where you sit, what can companies do differently in this space where you have so much at stake?
In fact, Abby, thank you for mentioning government companies, especially the parastatals. If you look at them and study carefully, you will see that most of them are government parastatals, and you know they don't pay a lot of attention to PR and publicity. So, assuming that these are government agencies, they will not have a lot of issues. And in fact, it is them that have a lot of issues because everybody believes that they own a share or they are paying tax to the government. To add some soup into that, if you have studied carefully about Kenya Power Lighting Corporation, the so-called activist, a gentleman by the name Apollo Mboya, has triggered something small, then it picked, then the build-up was catching fire a lot immediately. Finally, it triggered into a whole-scale crisis, which saw later the arrest of the managing director. Barely less than 1 year he's in office. The previous one has also spent some nights in the jail. All these are associated with the image and the reputation of a company. Before a crisis gets out of control, it is better that there should be some level of control. As a PR agency, and being one of the leading PR agencies in Kenya, what you will have advised in such scenarios is that you set up a crisis communication team, whereby when the crisis is getting out there and you become the talk of town, there will be a central unit where you'll be disseminating information here and there, and that there should be periodic updates to the audience, especially the customers. If you study very well again, and the case of KPLC in fact is a government-owned state parastatal, but a big company like Uchumi has just, if you look Uchumi very well, still they have funds. They should have done well, but the whole problem that has brought down Uchumi to its knees is because of reputational damage. Everybody is now thinking that if I put my money or my whatever investment or my activities, or I associate myself even with Uchumi, my business will be down. So there is something called reputational damage. And once that reputation is damaged, you are over.
All right. And how do you rebuild a brand that has been damaged? For example, we did see Kenya Airways, when it reported losses, everybody was talking bad about the airline. Over time, things are changing with the changes in the leadership. They've been able to make better, not profits really, but they've reduced the losses. And a few examples can be seen. For example, you also had Chase Bank, which was also one of the talk of town.
As you have rightly said, the first thing is that you do management change, then you do rebranding. Because the brand that has had the damage, if you continue with it, you'll be in the damage still. You'll not be getting out of it. You see, President Uhuru has been part of KANU for many years, but when he was running as president, he came up with his own new political party that was called TNA. So that in itself is called rebranding. You need to change your shirt. If the other shirt has not been nice with your clients or your whatever, you change. So you do rebranding, you do change of management, you get a management consultant, then you study where did the rain start beating us, then you seal all the loopholes. And if you study very well like KAQ, in fact they are coming back now. You see there was a new managing director, possibly an expatriate.
Yes.
The management has changed. They are rebranding. They are trying. despite having a lot of competition from Ethiopian Airlines and other leading African airlines. So when the situation gets out of control, I think that business will close shop should it not be if you don't intervene immediately. What we do here is we come as PR agency, we study your brief, we see your problems, we find out where the problem is, then we start sealing that loophole. For instance, the case of Kenya Power, as it is called nowadays, they have a PR agency. No, it does not mean that they don't appreciate the service of an agency. But you know, if you give services to an agency that is international, that does not understand the culture of the local people, whereby Kenya Power, all of us, we are consumers, including myself and you, it will mean some difference. So it does not pick the needs. They don't meet the needs.
All right. And talking about international brands, because we've seen many companies, the corporates, preferring to work with international brands because they have demonstrated years of experience compared to the local companies here in the country. And over time, we've been seeing many PR agencies coming up, trying to upgrade. Some are actually being acquired by these international brands. How do we build the local companies where we are seeing a lot of competition from international brands?
In fact, that's a good question. For us as a small nation that is in a developing continent, what we need is always we need to appreciate our own brands, regardless of whether it is a consultancy or goods or the products that we buy. We have to believe that we made in Kenya. If our local professionals are able to deliver top-notch services to an enviable class of clients at other countries at a reasonable price, why don't we adopt our own? You see, we are exporting a lot of experts, our own experts, to East African region. You see the teachers, you see here and there a lot of professionals, the doctors. So the problem we are having as a country is that we are not appreciating our own talent. So what we need to do is we need to do something called talent appreciation within our own system. In terms of the PR sector, if you look at the current PR agencies that are making some noise here and there, if you study very well, most of them are international or multinational agencies. And the small ones are also trying to be subcontracted under them. But what we do usually for us is that we have our own strategy. What we do is that we give space to every other client, regardless of your own level. What we do is that we give some excellent services in terms of advertisement. When we are buying media, we strategically place your advertisement so that we know the timing, the airtime, the space, and how you come into that.
All right.
In terms of traditional media management, that is when we are promoting a product. We ensure that if a product needs to be reached to Abi Agina, and he's in the news, he's not in the newsroom today, tomorrow when he's in the Baba, he should hear that product within the Baba through the radio station. So what we do is that we bring the product at your doorstep, regardless of where you are. We ensure that you get this one. In terms of marketing, what we do is experiential. We engage with our clients directly, and then we also encourage them to participate in the evolution of their products.
All right. And finally, as we wrap up the conversation, well, one of the biggest challenges right now we're seeing among companies is how do you respond to social media, where it's also another area where many companies are exposed when it comes to bloggers, when it comes to websites being hacked, when it comes to, for instance, if it's a bank and your accounts have been hacked. How do you handle this crisis?
In fact, this is the major crisis in the 21st century, if I tell you, especially this digital era. Why I'm saying that is that if I do a press statement or a release for my client, I share it with the media, it is under control. I know whom I gave, I know what I wrote, and I know what I will expect. But you know, social media is uncontrollable. It is beyond the limit. It has unfathomable depth. Are you getting what I'm saying? So even individuals or social media users who want to promote a product sometimes slip. Things get out of their control. In developed countries, what they do is that they use some IT technologies that we don't have as of now. Okay. But the best thing is that if your product has been attacked in the social media, what you do is that you study first, Is this negative media or positive? Sometimes somebody might be saying something good about you, which is giving you free media coverage, which you have not paid for. And sometimes that free media coverage which started might even turn into and trigger another crisis or another problem. Even though as of now the management of social media is in big dilemma, what we will advise again is that you should have an agency to promote your social media campaigns, especially the digital media platforms. Again, the second solution for that is that whoever you are using as a social media agent, you should ensure that is a brand that is reliable, trusted, that has the market respect and value, that shares the beliefs and the norms of the people. But if you just give it the so-called activists who click the mouse, the keyboard and put their own things, sometimes they put abusive things. So your brand, if it's associated with somebody who is already a hell-raiser, I don't know how I will term it, the so-called activists. I am not abusing, I'm not having a beef with them, but you know there are those people who do, and I'm not mentioning individuals. Such people are the ones who usually have abuse and misuse social media. And as now you have seen the Twitter purge, which has been currently going on, and a number of social media gurus who call themselves social media gurus have been introduced, have been cut into size. The other way is that you avoid such kind of social media campaigners who are known for negative. You ensure that your product that you are putting on social media resonates well with your consumers and the customers. And you know the timing when you put the product.
Okay. Well, many thanks there, Mohammed Ahmed, who is a crisis consultant as well as the CEO for Lens Media, just talking to us about crisis management in this 21st century. Well, we want to go for a quick commercial break, but just to give you some quick results out of our Twitter poll question, where today we are asking you, do you think the Kenya Bureau of Standards has been proactive in the fight against counterfeits? Well, 16% of you are saying yes, they have been proactive. 74% are saying no. In short, they are saying they've been playing catch-up. Well, we'll be having more of our great insights after this quick commercial break.
This is KTN News.